issues. Now, the next issue is the president finally, issued a statement which is captioned as an action on KPMG's findings and recommendations on the transaction between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, that's SML. Now, I've called portions of this statement that was released on the 24th of April this week from the presidency. We'll see on the screen shortly. But the president says he has acted on the findings and recommendations and has, by the letter dated Thursday, 18th April, given directives to the findings to the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Revenue Authority. Here are the findings. KPMG made the following findings. No technical needs assessment was done prior to the engagement of SML. That's instructive. That's according to the president's own letter. No technical needs assessment was done prior to the engagement of SML. However, such an assessment was not legally required for engaging SML. After SML was engaged, a Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors Industry Report 2021, Ernst & Young, gentlemen, audit report commissioned by GRA, and a report by the Revenue Assurance and Compliance Enforcement of the Ministry of Finance all found that there might be under-reporting, under-declaration, and potential revenue leakages. So there was a problem or that needed to be solved. 2, on 3 occasions between June 2017 and September 2017, GRA sought approval from the Public Procurement Authority to use the single source procurement method to engage SML to provide transaction audit services. The PPA, note, did not grant that approval. Subsequently, GRA engaged SML as a subcontractor to West Blue Consulting, which was already providing services to GRA at the ports. SML eventually took over the services provided by West Blue when the latter's contract came to an end on 31st December 2018. We know the circumstances under which West Blue's contract was either came to an end or, as someone say, terminated. But GRA then added external price verification to the services offered by SML and signed a downstream petroleum audit agreement with SML. And bear in mind, there was no PPA approval for the first instance. All these were done without PPA approval. So the signing of the downstream petroleum audit agreement with SML and the external price verification agreement were done without the Public Procurement Authority approval. This is according to the President's statement. Now, following a change of the leadership at GRA, the new leadership sought to regularize the contract, which was not without PPA approval, with SML on the 27th of August 2020. So fundamental questions that, based on this report by the presidency, GRA will have to answer is as to why they thought that regularizing this contract with SML that did not have the public procurement approval was the right thing to do after the change of the leadership in 2020. PPA eventually then went ahead, ratified the procurement process used to engage SML. In 2023, the Ministry of Finance, GRA, and SML entered into a revenue assurance service contract. This 2023 contract extended the scope of SML services to include upstream petroleum and minerals audit. So not just the downstream now. If you go through the other portions, essentially details a number of things. Regarding the downstream petroleum audit service, KPMG determined that there was an incremental volume of 1.7 billion liters and an incremental tax revenue of over 2.45 billion for the period under review. So questions, can this be attributed to the engagement of SML for this incremental value in volumes? Because that's one of the responses that SML claims, that based on their engagement, this is one of the benefits that the state, you and I, have received. The total fees, and we'll put that on the screen right now, the total fees paid under the contract from 2018 to date of suspension amounts to over 1 billion cedis. No fee has been paid for the upstream audit and minerals audit service. SML, in their response, challenged this, that this figure excludes the taxes paid to GRA and their investments. So it cannot be the case that 1 billion was paid to them. The total fees estimated to be paid to SML under the 2023 contract for 5 years is over 5 billion. Well, that's an average of 1 billion a year. That has not been effected as yet. These are the recommendations by KPMG, and let's put the recommendations on the screen right now. 1, the government acting through the Ministry of Finance and GRA may terminate the contract with or without cause upon giving 120 days written notice before the effective date of determinations stated in the termination notice. They go on to say, upon termination, the government may be liable to pay SML for services already completed but not yet paid, and the government will not be entitled to a refund. That is, you and I, of any compensation already paid to SML, regardless of the termination costs. In the event of termination without cause, government becomes liable to pay SML a return on investment equivalent to the fair value of SML's investment in the respective contract. And SML says they've invested over 4.4 billion into this. That's what you see there, that figure. That's what SML says they have invested in this agreement, this contract. So I'll bring you in here, and later also acknowledge the presence of Bright Simmons, Vice President of Money Africa. Lawyer Martin Kpebu, it's a case you've been following quite closely. There's that demand for this, the full details of the report to be made public, because now we are all commenting on what the president has seen and issued.
Yes.
And SML is responding to what the president issued. But the full complement of the report will do us some good, is it not?
Absolutely. And you remember a few weeks ago, we mentioned that getting the full complement of the report is non-negotiable, because even JM, who was characterized as corrupt, etc., in 2016, released the full GDA report. So 7.5 years on, or almost 8 years on, I can't imagine a situation where we will not get the full report. No, that would be too much of a retrogression. So you remember that I made the point that though we know that history is proving that JM is more honest than Akufo-Addo, he should make an attempt in these last few months. He should make an attempt to catch up with JM. Yeah, he should make an attempt. It's very late, but I never know. There are miracles, right? You know, a lot of us are Christians, and of course, people belong to other faiths, so there are miracles. Because, listen, I look at it and I'm like, oh, is that Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, that we have to make so much noise before President Akufo-Addo releases the report? I thought that, based on our experience in 2016, he would have even made the release of the full report simultaneous with his own comments, and there's a letter from Eugene Ahim. Yes, he should have made them simultaneous. Then we'll see that, oh, we've gone forward, right? But for me, the fact that we are now baying for his blood, release the report, it means that it's a retrogression. Yeah, it's a retrogression of what we experienced in 2016. Because if in 2016, lots of people had to make so much noise, and then JM released a report. In 2024, there shouldn't be any agitation, any noise. It should have just been released. Boom. As I said, simultaneous with his own, comments and etc. on it. You say, so this retrogression is unpardonable. It's extremely unpardonable. As I keep saying, Akufo-Addo, by every single act, is proving himself as the chief campaigner for JM. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, they are the chief campaigners for JM, because they say what? Actions speak louder than words. So if all their actions are bad governance, bad economics, etc., then is their opponent that they are strengthening. You say, yes, and I'm like, so how do you keep campaigning for your opponent like this? In actual fact, he went and brought your opponent, somebody we had totally thrown into the doldrums, somebody who had died. You've raised him from ashes like a phoenix by your bad conduct, bad governance. Is that not so? You think since Akufo-Addo and Bawumia took over, if they had performed excellently, stellar performance in governance, press freedom, corruption, etc., if everything changed the structure of the economy and everything, you think NDC would have dared to bring back GM? No, it's not brainer. So every day for me, I keep saying that it's Akufo-Addo who has returned GM. Yes, I see. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, they have single-handedly resurrected GM, risen GM from the ashes like a phoenix. You know, the proverbial.
Does this statement from the presidency raise fundamental questions about this engagement, this GRA-SML engagement at all?
Okay, let's go to that aspect. Yes, you would see that. Look, after yes and night, you know what I did? I was looking for the documentary to watch again. I wasn't fine, so I had to go to Manasseh. Then he sent it. I just watched the documentary again, and I was like, look, the fundamental questions are this. You find people who gave interviews, and please, my emphasis is that the interviews weren't surprise interviews. It's not like they were ambushed. Were scared. I like the word. Scheduled interviews. You hear Christian Soti. Do you do under declaration, diversion, and dilution services? No. Do you do under declaration, diversion, and dilution services? He says no, and that's the chief executive speaking on what? A scheduled interview. Number two, that's Christian Soti. Two, you go to Ibrahim Abubakar. So one of the, I think he's their IT chief and everything. Manasseh asked him, so let's look at the services, what they said they were providing. They said they do the tank gauging. So they had some machines they plugged into the tanks. The technology they are using is less efficient than what NPA itself had. Manasseh asked him, between the two technologies, right, what you have and what the NPA has, which one is better? Ibrahim Abubakar in the documentary said the NPA one is better. Can you imagine? Number three, you go to the 3 billion that they said they've saved the country, and Daily Graphic made it front page. And you see, it's worrying the way Daily Graphic does some of this. Do you see that? Look, even this story, with all the findings, do you know the publication Daily Graphic gave earlier this week? President says SML contract to continue. Can you imagine? I look at Daily Graphic. Why are you so spineless? After all, no, it's a front page. Look at the kind
I know.
Look at the front page. Do you have it? I'll bring it up. So the point is that after all this rot, so we was asked about 3 billion. That's the third point. Christian Soti says no, he doesn't know about this, 3 billion that they are alleged to have saved the country. And yet Daily Graphic published it. They didn't verify anything. Number 4, you come to the extension of the services to the upstream petroleum sector.
The additional contract.
Exactly, which Oforiatta okayed. And you're like, what's the basis? No basis. No basis. And yet Oforiatta said, do it. So you see why we think it's a scam? It's a scam by the cabal. Yes, it's a scam.
You were talking about the services.
Yes.
Under declaration, dilution, and diversion of petroleum products.
Yes. They said they don't.
So, well, in what was reported, when Manasseh pointed out the claims to the management of the SML from the company's website, Mr. Soti said the information was put on the website in error.
Thank you. Excellent. So you say, yes, that's the MDO. I want to place all emphasis on the fact that the interview was what? Scheduled. It wasn't an ambush. And you see somebody like Manasseh asks you for an interview, you know that, hey, hell is going to break loose. Hell is going to break loose.
Better be prepared.
Exactly. So it means that there was nothing else he could do. Look at the Daily Graphic publication this week. It says SML cleared to continue work.
That's
But
bizarre.
that's not what the president said.
totally
But I think we established that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so look at Daily Graphic. Useless. Go on. So then, so I was aligning all the points to show that this thing was really so bad.
Okay.
You go to Mustafa Hamid, and that's the point again. Let's repeat. Hamid, what do you know about the contracts? He says he doesn't know anything about this contract. Mustafa Hamid says he doesn't know anything about it. And for me, from what Mustafa Hamid is saying, that's a huge security breach. A huge one, because as CEO of MPA, somebody comes to plug some machines into your tanks, and you're saying that CEO is not aware. MPA has staff at the tanks. I hope when I say the tanks, you see the big tanks for storing the oil. MPA has staff there. GRA have staff there, because those are boss also have staff there. Yes, those are what? Custom bonded warehouses. Though you find them tanks, so yet you see that they say that's a custom bonded warehouse. So the thing that beggars believe is that even assuming GRA will not inform Mustafa Hamid, his own staff are there, and SML came and plugged in their machines, and so Mustafa Hamid is saying his staff never informed him. Is that what we're saying? And he says at that time, July last year, he is looking forward to checking with SML what they are doing, and saying that it's potentially what? Duplicitous. It's duplicitous, right?
I want us to hear exactly what Mustafa Hamid said in that documentary. Now, take a look at this.
The ERGMS is linked to the GRA's Electronic Revenue Mobilization System, ICOMS. This means every transaction that takes place can be traced and taxed. Together with the presence of GRA officials manning all the depots ensure that every liter of product is accounted for, players in the industry say the system is robust enough to curtail the losses of the past.
The ERDMS system that we call the Enterprise Relational Data Management System is a system, for example, that now allows all transactions in the industry to be made on a digital platform, okay, and which therefore allows us visibility, okay, and then also allows us to disable people from operating or lifting petroleum products once they are found to be in default of whatever statutory margins or taxes or levies that they haven't lived up to. So the ERDMS, the absence of the ERDMS at that time, where things were done manually and so on, were perhaps part of some of the regulatory challenges. But since that system was installed, a lot of that has been stemmed.
Without this electronic order, BRV cannot enter inside. And this information, when it comes from NPA portal, it is 100% correct.
Once you're able to track whatever is happening on the ERDMS to ICOMS, I mean, by and large, you have tracked all your volumes. And once you get the volumes right, you are likely to get the taxes also correct.
Despite the robustness of the system, the GRA has contracted a third-party company that is taking credit for all the gains made in the sector, making unsubstantiated claims of revenue savings and receiving millions of cedis.
So that's the affirmation by the NPA that they were doing or already have some systems in place doing what the SML was contracted to have been doing over the period. So then, was there a problem with the NPA system, reason why a third party was needed?
Absolutely no.
Well, this is what the president's statement says about the KPMG report, which we are yet to see.
Yeah.
The point 3 says there's a clear need for the downstream petroleum audit services provided by SML. GRA and the state have benefited from these services since SML commenced providing them. There has been an increase in volumes of 1.7 billion liters. Can we ascribe that increase to the services of SML?
No.
Why?
So if you go into the documentary, you see the GRA, one of the officers, explaining how annually there's even an increment and other indicators that they use. So in the documentary, GRA is very clear that you can't attribute the increment in the volumes to SML. But even look, before you even get there, as I said, please, listen, Mr. Okanse, can you play that part where Manasseh asks Ibrahim Abubakari, which one is more efficient?
All the time. So
Yes.
Yeah, and Ibrahim Abubakari says the NPA GRA one is better. I think we should play that one. The officer who says he's the IT guru, when he was asked between the two, which is better, he says the NPA GRA one is better. So, and you go on into the documentary, they say they don't use the SML data. Oh, and then another very key point, the issue of the diversion doesn't happen at the tanks. When you load, diversion happens when the truck is taking off, and let's say it's supposed to come to TV3. Then they don't go to TV3.
At 37.
Exactly. And I was involved in a court case, right? Where the MPA system was working. The driver was going somewhere. Sure. The system blew.
Because there are trackers on the
Yes, there were
tank.
trackers. The system blew. So we ended up in court. Giddy. Then finally we settled.
What's the meaning of giddy?
You know, like there was a struggle. Oh, and don't play with Guardian English. Because, you know, when you go on website, the English themselves admit that there are 70 dialects of the English language. So giddy should be. Very soon we should have the Ghanaian English dictionary.
While you round up for me. Yes.
Okay, yes. So you see that the MPA system works. Diversion, which is one of the biggest problems, SML says it doesn't do. So what are we confronted? And as I keep saying, look, if you want to understand this whole system, what was happening, that the fact that this thing is a scam, I can't see how you bring in a game changer, okay, this mother of all technologies, whatever, to change the system, and Mustafa Hamid is not aware. That is the beginning of the thing. Beginning of unraveling it. The CEO, you say you are changing the whole system, you are going to improve revenue assurance, everything. And the CEO of the MPA is not in the know. Master, that is the beginning of the scam.
Okay.
So if you go to the, just finally on this one sentence. So you see the paragraphs 3 and 4 of the Eugene Ayin's letter, then you see that he tries to massage the failures of SML to provide the services by saying that that regarding the transaction audit services, KPMG concluded that SML partially delivered on the service requirement, partially. But then GRA and Co, they are saying 0, they don't use the data. He's saying partially delivered. You go to paragraph 4. Regarding the external price verification service, they use the word again, partially delivered. Something that's already in the icons. You see? So no wonder they said remove the external price verification services. So for us, this thing is very clear. Oforiatta-led charges for us to be scammed. Okay. Oforiatta, this lands on your desk. Mustafa Hamid, you too. If you're lying, well, posterity will...
Let me bring in the Honorable